Amen. Okay, want to continue with the book of Ephesians. This is going to be the last chapter. Okay, so we're going to have half of the chapter today, and then we're going to continue with the ending of the chapter, next week. And the chapter is Ephesians 6. Okay, it's instruction for Christian households. Okay, the last time that I was here. Okay, we talk about submission. We talk about Christian marriage, and I explain, a few stuff, and then explain what submission is. And sometimes I kind of little like trying to do my best, okay, and explain that, okay, because sometimes we understand that the authorities that sometimes we have in earth is not really fair sometimes. So even right now coming from the Middle East, and then you see things over there like wow, is the government that do that kind of stuff is kind of crazy. So sometimes for the authorities, the earthly authority that we have, it's difficult to submit to them because we know what happened and we have our news and all the stuff. So sometimes it's difficult to submit to something like that. But we're talking about right now to Christ. Okay, we're talking about, even though our Father, said that submit to authorities and submit, to the wife, to the husband. And now we want to touch two other area with the Paul's talk to the Jew and the Gentiles in Ephesus about what submission is. Okay, we want to talk, two. If you are kind of follow, you could go to Ephesians 6, and we want to start reading, Ephesians 6. Okay. Ephesians 6, 1 and 3. Children. Okay, talking about the wife first. Now talking about the children. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Okay, honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. 3, so that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy long life on earth. So Paul over here not only says honor, okay, but it says obey. Okay, it says children, obey your parents, but it says in the Lord. Many times, before I become a Christian, I know about this passage. Okay, I know about the Ten Commandments. Okay, before I become a Christian, I know about the Ten Commandments. I don't know about the honor of father and mother. This is always over there. But I was thinking that we need to honor our father and mother when they behave. When they don't behave, we need to not honor them. Okay. My childhood, my dad. He was a mechanic, okay? So I helping him in the workshop, okay? So I was a kid, maybe 10 to 14, maybe, kind of that range. My dad have his workshop was in the house, was in the garage of my house. So as soon as I arrived from the school, I need to be with him. Sometimes I need to finish my homework faster, so I need to go and help him. He doesn't have any person who help him, so I'm the person who kind of pass all the tools, to him. That's kind of most of the time that I was doing. But me, and maybe you know me, I always like to have fun, okay? I always like to have fun, even though when I shouldn't. Okay, there's sometimes like, you don't know the line, when it is, okay? So my dad is a person that is kind of opposite than me. Those one who are with me and the training that I have, with the letters, those one who been here no understand that. My dad have an opposite than me. Other letters, it's two letters, two different. He have the different letters in the MBTI. Those one who doesn't know, maybe be familiar with the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So me and my dad are opposite. I'm more like my mom, okay? I'm more relational oriented. I'm more talkative, okay? Talk a lot. I always be with people all the time, okay? So I'll be more like my mom. So when I help my dad, I joke all the time, or trying to joke all the time. Okay, so he asked me for a tool. Okay, and he told me, bring me pliers, whatever it is. Oh yeah, I have a screwdriver for you. I just say it, but I had the pliers in my hand. Oh yeah, I want to give this to a screwdriver, and I say pliers. Yes, I have a screwdriver. I say pliers, and he says it's working, okay, and it's under the car, and he couldn't see that I have the right thing. I was saying something else. I was joking with him, trying to have fun with my dad. I always try to do like that. But sometimes, most of the time, it wasn't so nice with me, okay? Because then when I give, the pliers, okay, that he asked me, but all the time I'm saying that I have a screwdriver all the way there. So then he got the pliers and hit in the head with me, with the pliers. I just play. You get the right thing. Why you get mad? Why you're mad? Easy, okay? We have fun, okay? What's wrong? Now, when you get old, okay, you have kids, you have a kind of different perspective, okay, about those kind of stuff. The thing was, sometimes, we don't know how our parents doing. Sometimes we thinking that they're okay, that everything's okay. We understand. We don't talk to them about what's happening in their life. Sometimes they're in the middle of a crisis, okay, and then trying to be somebody, okay, and then trying to, I don't know how much money they have in the bank. I don't know all the struggle that they have, so I don't know anything about it. And I don't know even if my dad trying to fix this car that couldn't fix it. Maybe he tried again and again and again, and he could do it, and he's desperate, and I'm playing like a screwdriver. Trying to make fun, knowing the right time, because I don't know. The kids doesn't know sometimes what's happening in the life of their parents. We just see them to appear and sometimes to disappear, but we don't know what is inside of them. They struggle because sometimes parents are kids taking care of other kids. Sometimes we don't know. So I can imagine that those days, my dad was kind of frustrated, and I was joking all the time, okay? And because I represent, okay, more my mom, so I believe that all the struggle that he had among them, okay, all the things that he doesn't like from my mom, I have it. So imagine all these things, okay? And now we want to put it over there with Paul. Say, Paul, they say, obey your parents. Say, why do I want to obey my parents when he doesn't be nice with me? Why do I want to obey my parents when he doesn't have fun with me? Why? And I obey him, of course, because I was afraid, not because I have respect, but because I'm afraid about, something going to happen later on, okay? So that's kind of the relation that I have with my parents, or at least with my dad. My mom is better because we're kind of the same value that she have, talking, being with praises all the way. That's something that we relate to. So when Paul, talk to us and say, children, obey your parents, okay, in the Lord, for this is right. This is about the parent. The commandment is simple. We, as children, we need to obey our parents. And that is kind of is the relationship that we have with the Lord. With this, is the relationship that we have with the Lord. Isaiah 55:8 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. So sometimes our parents have a different mindset. Okay, when you was a kid, may have different mindset. Maybe you had to worry about other stuff, about economic, about the future, about you Now I have a lot of stuff, okay? So I didn't understand that kind of stuff. Now I'm a father, okay? My kids over there, they don't know when we were struggling and we were kind of looking for, what to do and how to do it, all the stuff. And sometimes they just want to have fun. But what Paul wants to let us know is like the same way that sometimes we don't understand what is the struggles or what is the mindset or what is going on with our parents. Sometimes we don't know what's going on with God. Sometimes look at what happened to me, God. Why this thing happened to me? Shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't be different. So Paul put this in the same way like we have a relationship with the Lord. Sometimes we don't understand the relationship that we have with the Lord. We're trying to do the best. Maybe we're trying to have fun and then say, oh, that hit me. Like, hey, wait a minute, okay. I was thinking that we were kind of okay. Of course, God, okay, knows everything. God knows what is the thing that we need. But in the same way, like you don't understand what's going on in the mind of the Lord, you still want to obey. It's the same path that Paul wants us, when we're a child, to obey our parents. Even if you understand what's going on with that, or don't understand. My dad don't need to come and say, look, there's not the time to make jokes. Okay, I have a debt over here. I need to fix this car that it doesn't, I try, it doesn't work. I have a things to do. He doesn't come and explain me all the stuff. He's just in their mindset. In the same way, our fathers sometimes have things in their mind that we don't know. But in the same way, Paul wants us to obey him, even though we don't know what's going on with him. Because whatever he has is going to be the best for us. So when Paul put this to obey our parents, he put in the same relationship that us, okay, obey the Lord. That is the meaningful stuff. It's what he wants to show us. That the same way that we don't understand, and Isaiah says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither your ways are my ways, declares the Lord. But I love you, and I want the best for you, and I want to try to do my best, that I can with you. Okay? He had the control. So we need to obey him, even though we don't understand what's going on in our life. And now our kids, when we teach our kids to obey, even though sometimes they don't know so many stuff, okay, yet, because they're kids. It's the same situation. And then to the kid, ask, why I need to do that, why? Or you have a more siblings, or why me, not him, and all this kind of stuff, you understand, okay? Because as a parent, we try to do the best that we can with our kids. But the kids sometimes they don't understand that. I didn't understand when I was a kid. I was angry with my dad. I was like, this kind of ogre, okay? Because doesn't have fun, So that's kind of the things. When Paul talked to us, and not only over here, he also in Colossians 3:20 says, children, obey your parents in everything, for these please the Lord. Of course, nothing sinful, okay? As soon as there's nothing sinful, okay, that's the way it is. Okay, this is what the Paul wants us to understand, that the same way that we obey our parents without knowing everything that they struggle or thinking or have in their mind, the same way that the relation that we have with the Lord, okay, obey the Lord. Teaching our kids to obey us is the same path they're going to learn, okay, to obey the Lord. When we teach our kids to obey us, is when we put in them, okay, that later obey the Lord, even though they don't understand. Sometimes they understand with us, sometimes they don't understand with him. But it's something that Paul wants us to put in our kids. Now, when Paul talked in Ephesians 6, 1 to 3, he mentioned in the second, 6:2, say, honor the father and the mother, which is the first commandment with promise. He referring, to Deuteronomy 5:16, says, honor your father and your mother as the Lord, your God has commanded you, so that you may live long and that you may live long, and that it may go well with you in the land of the Lord your God is giving you. So this is kind of the commandment, okay? And this is the commandment number 5. So we're gonna see the commandments over here, okay? The 10 commandments. Number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall have not make idols. 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 5, honor your father and your mother. 6, you shall not murder. 7, you shall not commit adultery. 8, you shall not steal. 9, you shall not bear false witnesses against your neighbor. And 10, you shall not covet. So when I've been seeing, the 10 commandments, I always divide them, and maybe many of you know that, maybe divide it in 4 is the relationship you have with the Lord. Okay, the first 4 is the relationship with God. And I always mention, the cross. Okay, the relationship they have with the Lord. Okay, the first 4 talk about that. And the other 6, they talk about others. I always thought or think about like that. Okay, most of the Christians think about this way. So the number 5, honor your father and your mother, is in the relationship with others, because your father is in the relationship. But the Jews don't think that way. They divided 5 and 5. 5 is with the Lord, and 5 is with others. So for them, honor your father and your mother is not something that you do for them, okay, in relationship with them. No, it's something you do in obeying the Lord. Okay, is that important for them? Like when they say, I obey my dad, okay, it's not because I have a good relationship with him. It's not that relationship with him. No, it's the relation that I have with the Lord. That's why I need to honor my dad. Because as soon as we get in adulthood, okay, we getting older, okay, we say like, oh, we need to obey that way? No, it's not obeying the same way, but it's the honor still there. The honor needs to stay there, even though we are in adult life. Okay? Honor your father and your mother. And the Jews take it as doing it, for the Lord. It's in this relationship with the Lord. Okay? I'm going to continue. Okay? Now, when Paul talked, first, talking about submission, that's why he talked first, about the wife, then the husband. And it's the same pattern is going to happen right now. First talk with the children, okay, and say, obey your parents, okay? Honor them, okay? That's for you. But then later, he moved, okay, with the parents. And then say, Ephesians 6:4 says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Okay? Now, you could say like, well, it's okay, you need to be harsh on your kids. Okay, that's okay. But you need to remember, okay, or remember when this letter was right. Okay? Paul was in Rome, okay? And the letter was for the Ephesians, okay? But in general was for the whole church. And in that time, the parents have the whole custody of the child. What does that mean? They could do whatever they want with the child. A father could murder his own child, and the government could say anything about it. Okay? That's what was in that time. So for Paul to put that over there was like a, wait a minute. What you say? In that times, the parents own the child. If they murder, the government said, that's okay. It's for a reason. Okay? And that Paul put this over there was like a wait a minute. And this is all the things that Paul wants us as a Christian, to know. We're different than them. Okay, we're different than them. I put over there, the fathers, do not separate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction to the Lord. Because in that time wasn't like that. Okay, and that time wasn't like, today we say like, well, you have a problem with your child, then the government came, and take your child and then put it, we understand how it is right now. But in that time, no. The children belongs to the father or the parents, and they do whatever they want with them. Okay? So that was a revolutionary concept, that Paul, bring to them. Now, it says that father don't exasperate the children, okay? Have you ever somebody come to you and say, hey, could you please, bring my kids, to the church so they behave? It never happened to you? Okay? And nobody, say like, hey, bring my kids. The people don't want to go to the church, okay? Don't want to go to church. But they know that they teach good stuff in the church, okay? Especially maybe this topic, okay? That obey your parents, okay? So they know that, so they don't want to come to the church, but they want to give you the kids, okay, to come over here for Sunday school. I don't know if that happened over here, okay? But that happened when I started, to the church. I remember my aunt. I say, Lucio, bring so-and-so, bring it to the church because they don't behave. I say, no, it's not about that. We're thinking sometimes that the other people have a responsibility of teaching to obey, or kids, okay, to teaching to obey, We're thinking that it's responsibility of the church, okay? The church need to talk about that, in Sunday school, they need to do that, okay? Or other people think that it's the government, okay? The government need to do that. But no, it's our responsibility as a parents. How much time a kid could be in the church? 1 or 2 times a week, at much. How much this kid is in your house? Okay? A little more time. So most of the time, the kid get more information from the parents because he spent time with him. And sometimes we're thinking that we want to get the best, of two of us. When me and Vanita, get married, we're thinking like, oh wow, the kids wanna be so relational, okay? And you wanna read a lot, like my Vanita read a lot. I don't, but she read a lot. And I'm more relational oriented, so my kids gonna be relational oriented and have a lot of reading and the best, okay? The best. And one day, we're with one of our kids, and he was stubborn, okay? Okay, we were trying to say something to him, he was stubborn, like he don't want to, like. And then my wife comes and say, he's so stubborn. Like, what do you think we want to get? You're stubborn, I'm stubborn. What do you think we want to get? Whatever is, our kid is a little bit of mix of who we are. And we don't teach, to disobey. Do we teach to disobey? You have a school, okay, or disobey in school, okay, we need to send our kids. We don't teach them to disobey. The chip is already there, okay? Maybe, for the Adam, okay, or for something else, but we don't teach our kids to disobey. There's not a school for disobeying. But we need to encourage them, okay? We need to teach them how to obey, okay? This is a teaching that you need to do. Besides they understand or don't understand because you know what is the best for them. So when the people come and say, hey, bring my kids, to the church. Say, no, you come to the church. So then you could teach them how to obey you and the Lord. That is kind of, I didn't have that kind of mentality in that time. I was thinking like, no, I want to put more work, to the teachers in Sunday school. They have enough, okay? We think, the responsibility, is to guide our kids. It's responsibility for the church or for the government, but no, it's responsibility for us. Sometimes as a child, they see our blind side, okay? And me as a father, I have a blind side, okay? I think that I don't think about it. I think I'm normal, okay? That I'm okay, I'm perfect kind of stuff, okay? But we have a blind side. And the blind side, they think that we struggle maybe. Our kids know that. Our kids know what is going on with us, okay? And then when they know that kind of stuff, they normally, at least when I was a kid, I know the things that I don't like from my dad. And I say, when I grow up, I don't want to be like him. Okay? When I grow up, I know that thing is not going to happen. Yes, but how many things he do right? And I didn't pay attention. Because I was focused more in the things that he do wrong in my way of thinking. Okay? So sometimes as a kid, we go to the line that, he do wrong with this, he do wrong with that. I don't want to be like him. Okay? I want to do better. And sometimes, because you're not perfect, some other things is going to happen with you. It's not going to be maybe not that area, but maybe another area that we lack. Understanding that, okay, we need to be aware that sometimes those kind of blind area, we need people to talk about that area. Instead of saying like, it's Lucio, come on. It's like that, yeah, it's always forget about these things. It's always arrive late. It's always like, it's Lucio. So no. We need to go, okay, and have this kind of conversation to see what is a blind side in order to close it. Because as much of the same way that they're learning, we are learning. And it's kind of funny because you have the one child and then the next child is totally different. You think you learned already and you have another one and it's totally different. Like, come on. Okay, can you make it like the same? We already try, to good and bad, and now it's working, so the next one is going to be easy. No, it's totally different. Okay? Because it's a learning process. It's a learning process. If we want to do the same, it doesn't work. I say that when I have my Bible, it's going to be NVLB. That is new version, Lucio Berumen. Okay? I have one proverb over there. I want to read it to you. Say, spoil your grandkids so your kids will know how you felt with them. That's going to be one of the proverbs that I will put over there. Okay? But the situation is now when we're kind of the grandkids, okay? Sometimes we don't, and I don't know because I don't have grandkids, but I know my dad or to have grandkids, they don't train them the same way that they train their kids. They're more calm down. They're more like it's my kids, they give like wait a minute, you don't do that to us. Like yes, because of different times. Maybe in those times was more, less money, more struggles, more, you don't know. Right now it's not like that. And you see the life is short, so why we need to be like that sometimes? Okay? So that's kind of, the situation are a little different. So this is one of the things that I want to mention, that we mentioned last time about the relation, as a Christian marriage. Then I talk about the relation, father and kids kind of stuff, or fatherhood. Now is the third one that Paul want to mention here. And it's going in the Ephesians 6, 5, and 8. It says, slaves, obey your earthly master with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but a slave of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. So over here is talking about the slaves. And we don't have, I think there should be, okay, part of the country, but it's not common, okay? Okay? At least it's not, okay, kind of legal, okay? So we want to move this one, instead of slaves, we want to talk more about when we have a boss, okay? We have a boss, we have a job, we have a boss. So we want to move it, that direction, with what does Paul says over here. And he says, obey your boss, okay? And with respect and fear, with sincerity of heart, okay? Just as you obey Christ. So the thing that Paul putting over here is also another revolutionary stuff. Like, wait a minute. I need to obey him. I'm a slave. I need to obey him. And it's in the way that I obey him, I obey in the Lord. That's what Paul, want us to know. Not only said over here, but also in Colossians, 3:23-24 says, work willing at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Christ. Say, the job that you're doing, okay, not only do it when they see you, okay? Imagine those jobs that you're kind of working, okay? And then when the boss is not close, you're doing something else, okay? And then the boss goes, I need to talk about the cleaner over here, okay? Where God is coming, okay? He said, don't work when they saw you to get something from them. No, do it like I do it for the Lord. In YWAM, we have we say is the chores, okay, that we need to do. And we got community. We changed the name of chores, say community responsibility, just to put another name, okay. But this is chores, okay. So we put them, to clean what they doing. And one time, a girl come to me and says like it's always a struggle, in order to clean, just to sweep and mop, the area that we give, we divide the whole stuff. And she struggled with that. I said, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And I say, why? Because in my house, we have a person that they do it for us. Okay. And I say, and if that person do it for free, do it because she loves you? Oh no, my dad paid to her to do it. Okay, well, your dad doesn't pay anyone over here to do it, so you need to do it. So then when you start trying to do it, and then I remember, talking to her mom and say, oh, thank you so much, because we spoiled her kind of stuff, okay, but thank you, for teaching those stuff. And when they do it, we teach them to do it for the Lord. Okay, whatever you do, and even though it's cleaning and sweeping and washing dishes, it's kind of the thing, everyday thing. But imagine that one day, okay, Jesus come and say, "Could you please sweep and mop over here?" What will be your attitude in that? You're trying to do it, as best as you can, okay? Because for Jesus, I could do it, and with a good a heart and really excited, when you finish, I say, I want to do a really good job, because when you finish, you want to show it, and you want to see his face like, oh wow, that's really clean. That would be our attitude, I believe so. But sometimes when we do it all the time, kind of stuff, when we're thinking, we don't see that thing. For today, I just reminded that. Whatever you do, says so here, whatever you do, no one do it for Christ. And remember, and this is very important, that you will receive a reward. You cannot do anything, okay, that God are not seeing. Any work that you're doing that doesn't have a reward. Jesus, God, never gonna give you without a reward. So you need to understand that. And the same way, Jesus, so Paul, talk about the submission of the wife to the husband, then later the kids, and then later he talked to the parents. The same way. First talk to the slaves, now they talk to the masters. And Ephesians 6:9 says, and master, treat your slave in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. When Paul says this, okay, it's another revolutionary stuff. Why? Because it's the same thing. The same thing with the kids. Imagine if with the kids, the parents, own the kids. They could murder them, and that's not a problem. With the slave, it's the same situation. And now, maybe when you read the slaves, and even, when I was reading over here, and a person come and say oh, that's a big deal because it's slaves kind of stuff. And we're thinking that the Bible should talk more about the slave stuff, and nobody agreed with that. Instead of Paul talking about the slaves, obey the master, we need to say, no, we need to be a freedom. And okay, we're thinking that the Bible should talk something about it. Okay, or the slave, have a that's kind of big kind of stuff to say, I want to be free, kind of stuff. We think there need to be more like that, it's right now, a more social stuff, more social justice. But just for the sake that Paul write this, okay, and it say the master, you treat your slave in the same way, okay? Do not treat them, since you know that he who is both master and yours in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. They say, even though you're the master and he's the slave, is no one more than the other. And they're whoa. Now, when in Ephesus, there was Jew and Gentiles, but also there was slaves and master. When they become a Christian, they go to a church. So you could see in the church, there was slaves and masters in the same congregation. And sometimes, okay, could be a slave who is a leader or is in the leadership of the church. And the master need to obey him. It's wait a minute. So in some way, with this, okay, little by little, okay, that's the way that we could see that slave, going less and less. As soon as you become a Christian and you go to a church, that you have your slave over there, but now your slave is a deacon, okay, and it's over you, and you need to obey him, and then later, it's kind of different. The same way that you'll be treating like that, it starts switching, the mindset, okay? It's when they say, oh, wait a minute, okay, that's something, that we need to pay attention, to that. The slave rights, okay? Sometimes we're thinking oh, you should talk more about that. The Bible needs to talk more about the slave situation. Say, no. They do a little bit, and then little by little, it's been like that. The person who bring this letter, okay, also bring the letter of Philemon, okay? Because Philemon was the master of Onesimo. The Onesimo was the person, is the slave. And the letter of Philemon is talk about hey, they was in the same church, okay? And say, Be nice with Onesimo, Philemon. Okay, that's kind of, you could read that letter. That's what it is. That's two Christians, okay, that the people want to follow, the Lord. And then that is kind of the difference, okay, in the church. So, I want to stop there. I want to think about these three stuff. I started last week about the Christian marriage. And now we talk about the children, and also we'll talk about the slaves, but we're thinking more in the sense of a working environment. And think about that Paul wants that we are different than the others. When Paul read the Ephesus and put this over there, he was on jail in Rome. And they say, do this because you need to be different people if the Lord is with you. You need to be a different people because Jesus is in your heart. That's what I was talking. He was talking since the beginning of the Ephesians until right now. And then to next week, we're going to talk about the spiritual warfare. Okay? I just reminded you, about the BBS. Okay? It's the BB. Okay, over here. Okay, standing strong today. The battle for the truth is the BBS in 1721. So next week I want to finish, the book of Ephesians with Ephesians 6. Okay, Ephesians 6, second part, and we want to talk about this stuff. Okay? So let's pray. Father, thank you so much, for this day. Teach us, Lord, to obey you, even though we don't understand sometimes the thing that happen. We shouldn't, we really want to know why, but we don't know. Help us, to understand you have better things for us. Please show us that even though we don't understand, we could still follow you, we still obey you, and we trust in you the best. Please be with us and show us what is the best way for us to do your will. Be with this congregation, be with us, and teach us, to do your will. In the name of Jesus, amen. Can you please stand? Those who can. The benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen.